Another typically strong performance for her on Friday. And it'll be UVA to get us underway. The Cardinals with an undefeated home record and a challenging serve right out of the gate for Virginia that had Louisville a little bit out of sorts. Here's Kalissa Blackshear, the freshman, and Louisville able to recover to score the opening point.
Absolutely. I like that serve out of the gate there from UVA. A little short drop serve over here to Chicoine to put her out of the play. So that's one offensive element eliminated from that offensive run there. They can kind of focus their block in on the other attackers. But great swing by Blackshear to end that volley.
Chloe Chicoine serves here for Louisville, and Virginia all out of sorts. A big opportunity here for the Cardinals. They go to Blackshear again, and it's back-to-back kills for the freshman from California to open this match.
Yeah, I love that shot. If you can see here in the replay, Blackshear goes right in the seam of that block. So as a defender playing behind the block, with that velocity and that height in the seam, it's really hard to defend. Your middle back is really back there to take deflections off the block, anything high and deep.
Blackshear, one of two Cardinals on Friday to have 10 or more kills. And the whistle goes Louisville's way here to make it 3-0 Cardinals. She had 10 on Friday behind only Chloe Chicoine's 11 for Louisville.
And already at 3 kills this afternoon. All 3 points go to Blackshear right here.
And here's Chicoine behind the service line, who had her 1,000th kill for her career between Purdue and Louisville on Friday night. The first kill of the night for Virginia comes courtesy of Cadence Booth, senior from North Carolina, a transfer from Tennessee.
You know, I thought on Friday night, Booth came in the Notre Dame match and really added some energy and excitement to the team. Came in and played really hard in that match on Friday night.
She had 1 kill in that one. She's got the hefty swing from the back row this time, and though it was powerful, it was right into the net. And it is an attack error that gives Louisville a 4th point of the opening set. There's Camden Schrand, starting libero for the Cardinals, who had 11 digs on Friday. Here's Peyton Peterson, and Louisville is on fire to start off on Sunday.
Yeah, and what leads to this kill, Chicoine here on defense, so patient, so composed. She doesn't move from her base position, nails a dig from that quick attack in the middle to be able to set Peyton up for the kill.
And Bowie with the kill for Virginia. As you get a look at Shannon Wells, 5th season at UVA. She has improved the program record-wise year over year every season since she started in 2021. And she's a coach, Molly, that you know particularly well.
Absolutely. I was going to set that straight from the beginning to know I'm going to have a ton of bias here, but I absolutely love Shannon. My very first head coaching gig at the University of Southern Indiana, Shannon was my assistant coach, and our paths have crossed for so much time over the years. And she's just a fierce competitor. She was a fierce competitor as a player and is really a fierce competitor as a coach. I love her energy and just been a good friend over the years.
And you see what she's been able to do, improving this program year over year. That 21-11 record included a winning record in ACC play for the Wahoos, as they're known, Virginia last year. And you talked about her playing career at USI, still ranks first all-time in aces and kills for her career at that school. A legend, relatively local, just up the river, USI.
I love it. We can call her a legend at USI all day. It's great.
Well, she's forced into a timeout here because her Cavaliers are up against it. Number 5, Louisville ahead by 5 and clicking on all cylinders to open this match.
And done.
Particularly offensively, .430 hitting percentage. You see there the best hitting percentage in nearly a year since December of last year against Purdue. That was the point of emphasis for head coach Dan Meskey coming into that match, and Louisville passed that test with flying colors, Molly.
Absolutely, and just like we had talked about in the opening, you know, your offense isn't where it's going to be at the end of the season. That's something that you're constantly tweaking, constantly developing, constantly growing together. And to be where Louisville is right now, I think is some really exciting things for them to look forward to as they move through conference and the offense really builds and grows.
And there you get a look at the first-year head coach, Dan Meskey. First year at Louisville. He has been a head coach previously in his career at Augustana. That's a Division II school, 2015 and 2016. But certainly a bigger challenge at this level of the game. But like his team passed Friday night with flying colors so far, in his head coaching experience at the D1 level, he's passing with flying colors. Louisville 13-2 and undefeated in ACC play.
And that shot there from Bowie is the shot that you're going to have to use against Louisville in their extremely strong ball control. She goes super high, deep into the far corner for an easy point.
Speaking of easy points, Peyton Peterson blasting that one to great success. And Louisville has tripled up Virginia in the opening moments here. See Peterson's numbers for the rising sophomore who's been sensational all year long. Coming up in big moments time and time again. Chloe Chicoine, likewise, has been terrific for the Cardinals all year long.
Yeah, and I really like to see the player that Chicoine is even developing into. You know, we know her as a hammer. She has such a fast approach, arm swing. Everything about her is fast, but we've seen a lot of creation in her offense. The tip there to the middle of the court. She puts UVA's Ennis on the floor. Seen some shots down the line. I really like her development.
And we saw that top-level hitting percentage from Chicoine from Friday night. That was on a team-high 23 swings. So efficient, but also incredibly active and busy. And she's been busy early today as well. There's another kill for her.
And what you can appreciate about a player like that, she is obviously very decorated, very successful, plays at a high level, but continues to get better. I think that's important for our younger players to see that out of these high-level college players. There's always room to grow. There's always room to get better. And you can see that out of Chicoine.
This time, though, she is denied. A block for Virginia.
And you could see Chicoine there kind of, beg for the cover ball from her teammates. I think that was a planned recycle there. She went up, kind of snapped high into the block. The ball comes off the block almost at the 10-foot line. So that's a ball that could be covered.
Give credit to Jasmine Robinson for that block. 6'1" middle blocker from Chesapeake, Virginia, transferring from Virginia Tech. Back-to-back points for the Cavaliers. They're starting to find their feet a little bit here at L&N Federal Credit Union Arena. Another challenging serve there from Virginia, but Camden Schrand diving to the floor to make the play. But UVA able to score off the high hands of Louisville. And the Cavaliers on a little run here.
And you'll see the development of this offense. It's a little bit hard to tell from this angle, but when you're floor level, UVA's offense, especially to their pins, is extremely fast. It's an extremely fast set out here to the outside.
And an overpass might give UVA another opportunity, not quite. It does result in a block, though, for Louisville. Big swing out of the back row from Ennis. But Kara Cressy there, equal to it for the Cardinals, and that ends a 3-0 scoring run for Virginia.
I think we'll see a lot of that back row attacking from Ennis tonight. It's a really strong tool for UVA. And it's difficult to, to have your blockers lock in and be able to pay attention to your two front row attackers and then have that visual of the back row attack kind of coming at you down the gut of the court.
Booth with the touch over for Virginia. Nylise Cabello, the setter there, tried to go it herself. Virginia scrambling defensively, and Cabello says, not the first time, but I've got it this time. She scores with the left hand, which she has been so frequently doing this season.
Super heads-up play. I'm not sure if she saw all of this happening, but Ennis got caught a little bit there inside the 10-foot line along with the right back player for sort of a broken play. And there was no way they had time to get back and set up in base and time for Cabello to be able to throw that dump down.
That's a little more like it from Robinson for Virginia. Much cleaner. And she gets the kill to go along with her block from earlier. Booth. And Chicoine diving to her left for the dig. It'll hang up, though, for Peterson. Chicoine. And Booth, very awkwardly, with her left hand. Peterson out of the back row. A little helter-skelter from both sides, but Louisville eventually found the clean play, and Peyton Peterson found the kill. And that will force the second timeout from Shannon Wells on the Virginia bench. It was a 3-0 Virginia run. That was followed up succinctly by a 4-0 Louisville run, and the Cardinals still very much in command here, Molly.
Yeah, I love that back row set to Peterson right there. There's a lot of transition work that you could see with Chicoine there in the middle of that play. She's constantly on and off the net, on and off the net. So to be able to not only give her a little bit of a breather or time to set, but to kind of throw a wrinkle into the offensive system, you can see how fast that attack got on the UVA defense and extremely hard to defend. Thought that was a really well-run transition play.
Well, we talked a little bit about Chloe Chicoine, but this was the moment for her on Friday night, the 1,000th career kill for her, and she was honored pregame with that honorary ball. And a terrific accomplishment and milestone in her career, posing with the Louisville coaching staff. She becomes the 27th player in Louisville's program history to hit that 1,000 kill mark while wearing Cardinal red. Obviously, a healthy portion of her career kills came up the road in West Lafayette, Indiana for the Purdue Boilermakers. But anytime a player hits 1,000 for their career, it's a milestone that deserves to be celebrated, and Chloe Chicoine, a worthy celebration for her before this match.
Yes, and no matter how many she got at her previous school, there are so many more to come here at the University of Louisville. So that's going to be very exciting to see her continue to rack up and tally those kills here, wearing the Cardinal red, as you say.
Truly, between her and Peyton Peterson, there has been no drop-off for Louisville from losing their two outside hitters a year ago. One developing within the program in Peterson, playing a decent amount last year as a freshman, and then Louisville going to the transfer portal to find Chicoine, who has experience aplenty and even more talent to speak of. Hannah Kinney diving to the floor, can't get there, and it's another point for UVA.
Absolutely, and speaking of, just offensive production, Dan I've not heard him verbalize this, but I would think as a coach, you lose 70% of your offensive production. That's a little bit of a gut check to say, hey, how are we going to make up for those points? That is a lot of points, but I could not agree with you more. Peterson and Chicoine, just no drop-off. I mean, that is a really dynamic pair, two very different players, but that just succinctly play together really well.
Back-to-back points here for Virginia. First, it was Zoe Dode with the kill, and now Cadence Booth with the block. And the Cavaliers are certainly making a strong account for themselves right now. Despite the struggles that they've experienced this year and Louisville's relative success, Virginia not scared whatsoever. It's now a 3-0 run, as Kate Johnson will take aim. And that'll end the run. Service error.
Yeah, just a little hiccup in the offense there. It looks like Chloe was coming in for an inside go set, and Cabello shot the ball outside, so I'm sure just a little bit of miscommunication, but that's an easy cleanup and fix.
And that'll give Cabello the opportunity to serve. Another high lofting pass. Bodies flying all over, including Booth. And UVA forced to set it over through barrier. But Louisville can't take advantage. Here's Booth once again. And it's out of play. An attack error and a point to Louisville. Cadence Booth, though, very active early. That was already her 10th attempt of this opening set.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you can hear this, but I can hear coaches yelling, get low on the block. And I believe they're encouraging Blackshear and Sherman to get their hands over low and tight to the net. Right? It doesn't necessarily matter how high you are. on the net blocking. You have to cut off angles on the net. And as you can see there, they went over low and tight to the net, forcing the swing wide out of bounds. That was a really nice setup block.
Sherman. And that one from Dode right to the back corner, and Louisville could not react quickly enough.
Yeah, heads up play. All right, this is an advantage of having a lefty setter to be able to stay at the net and just be able to take a little step close and jump and take an attack at the ball. Those deep corners in a base setup are the weakness of a base. You don't have any specific defenders standing in those spots, so your middle back has to be able to run those balls down.
And an ace for Virginia as well. Scott with the ace. Hannah Scott, College of Charleston transfer from Franklin, Tennessee. But Louisville has been a little bit out of sorts defensively so far today, Molly. Just their passing hasn't quite been crisp. Their reactions haven't quite been there. Virginia is certainly posing some challenges and asking some difficult questions of Louisville right now.
Yeah, it's one of the notes that I've kind of tracked here just as we've been talking the last few points. I think serve receive is in a little bit of a breakdown compared to what we're used to. When you have such smooth serve receive and really great defensive touches, as a spectator, you sometimes don't see that because the attackers look so good. But you can see a little bit of this breakdown in serve receive is causing a little bit of problems. But Peyton Peterson will pick us up with that swing.
That's the beauty of having an outside hitter like that. They can clean up a lot. And they can also cover over some cracks in the overall performance because of how elite she is attacking. And a block for Hannah Sherman. Louisville starting to get their blocking game going. That's their second of the afternoon.
Yeah, and I think a really big momentum play right there by Sherman. Dean is a really fantastic senior attacker for UVA, so that's a big play to shift the momentum here with 5 points left in the set. You want to be able to build off of that to finish out play.
Chicoine serve sets up an opportunity for Hannah Sherman. Louisville had Virginia on its heels on that point, and Louisville closing in on an opening set victory despite some struggles here against the Cavaliers.
And I think a fun play for my setter's eye, right? That Sherman makes a big block, and Cabello goes right back to her in transition for a kill.
And she gets another one here on the overpass, taking advantage of Virginia mistakes. And Louisville on a 5-0 run, trying to run away with the opening set. Here's Booth on the right side. Goes down the line, but can't keep it in.
And I think we'll need to see a lot more of that from UVA. Ennis right there just put a beautiful pass and serve receive up to the net, allowing Virginia a nice swing out of serve receive, but just execution on the shot barely missed down the line. Thought Chicoine was good and stopped there on defense and was able to make the read out of bounds.
Big opportunity here for Louisville, 2 points away. They go to Peterson. Lethal from the left side.
Absolutely lethal, and you can see the gap in the block from that play. So with Sherman's presence in the middle right now, how she's been scoring, blocking, Kate Dean kind of has to stay with her a little bit, right? Can't completely leave her, which leaves a little bit of a gap in the block for Peterson to just hammer away.
Louisville closing strong in the first set. Strand, a terrific diving dig. And then Peterson with the kill to close it. Louisville finishes the first set on an 8-0 run. And despite some valiant effort from Virginia.
Development of the offense. There's another piece that's going to look completely different when we get to the end of conference play.
Obviously a lot going right for Louisville so far. 484 their hitting percentage, 059 Virginia's hitting percentage. Although the Cavaliers get on the board first here in the second set.
Yeah, and UVA finding some success in the deep corners, I think, is what I've seen right now, really going up and challenging this defense high and deep. You know, if you rip anything against Louisville's defensive crew right now, anything hard within their 5 foot radius of defense, they're going to dig that. But going deep into the corners is going to challenge them.
Only our second game together, but you answered the question I was going to ask you without me asking it. So we're doing great.
We're doing all right.
Chloe Chicoine always doing all right, seemingly. So far, 2 for 8 for her today, but does have 7 digs defensively to lead the way. Most digs of any player in the match so far. But it's Virginia with a 2-1 lead early on here in the second set. And it's Reagan Innist who will need to step up a little bit more for Virginia if they hope to challenge Louisville in this match. They did take a set off of Stanford, Virginia a few matches ago, so they have had success against elite programs, not only in the ACC but in the country. And they'll look to try and replicate that kind of performance today.
Absolutely, and I think we will see some more out of Innist. She seems to be, from watching what I've seen so far, completely accepting of her role as a freshman and the amount of reliability that she has to have for this team.
That set win over Stanford, by the way, the highest ranked opponent in which Virginia has ever been able to take a set off of. So though it was a loss, a little bit of a step forward, a little bit of a milestone for this program to be competitive on that level.
Absolutely.
Peterson with the kill.
Absolutely, and in preparing for this match, that's a set as a coach that I go immediately to and watch, and I'm sure that's one that Shannon is going to be using to build off of for this whole season. I thought that was a really well-played set against Stanford.
And Virginia continuing to play well here in the second set. Lauren Bowie, that time off the block, and she's got a team-high 3 kills now, 3 for 7, 429 hitting percentage. She's been the bright spot for the Wahoos so far.
Absolutely, and a massive blocking presence out there. I noticed watching her over this season, her height at the net blocking is incredible, and she's very physical. If you can see the way her shoulders and chest are involved with the block, she really presses, and it's a really strong block. 0.88 blocks per set on the season is impressive as a right side.
Here's Hannah Kinney to serve for Louisville, true freshman who has made a habit of doing that this year. Closing in on 20 aces as a true freshman, Hannah Kinney. A terrific weapon.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about this so far as we've gotten into conference play, that serving is going to be one of Dan's big focuses. And not just aggressive serving, being good at serving, but being an elite championship level serving team. So I think to take a match today and really find ways to pick apart your opponent with your serve is important to build on what it is that you're trying to do from the service line.
Virginia able to handle that serve from Kinney. And Innist able to score off the block this time.
Yeah, good high hands there. I think from a serving defense perspective, that was really well executed by U of L. So put Virginia in a really tough spot out of system. They know exactly where the ball is going, but just kind of lost track of the ball as it came off the block. Nice high swing by Innist.
Innist now up to 2 kills, 2 for 9. Starting to show a little bit of why she's the ACC Freshman of the Week. Here's Cressy. And Innist goes crashing into the scorer's table. Terrific effort from her that deserves credit, but it's a kill for Kara Cressy, Louisville's All-American middle blocker and the reigning ACC Defensive Player of the Week. Despite those accolades, she didn't need to be overly used in Friday night's win. 5 for 5 was Kara Cressy on Friday against Virginia Tech. So far today, 3 for 6. But the Cavaliers get yet another kill from Cadence Booth.
You can see in that replay there, she saw that opportunities she had a little split in the block against, like I said, this fast offensive tempo to the outside to just throw quick in the seam and put the ball directly on the court.
And Booth with the block touch just a moment ago. We go to Ennis out of the back row, and UVA saw the net violation as it happened, called for the whistle, and they heard it immediately as well. And this proving to be a much more competitive set than the first one was. UVA up 8-7 on the road at number 5 Louisville. Make it 8-all as Kate Johnson serves in error into the tape there.
Yeah, I think this is a moment too where Louisville can settle in here, take advantage of a missed serve. I think, you know, the net there is just, that was a random happening. That just sometimes happens. So you move on, take advantage here, really have to hit it hard from the service line. I think that's where they could have an advantage the rest of this match.
Attack error from Ennis out of the back row.
And out of system is something that Shannon said that they've really been working on as far as their building off of their defense, not just offensive mindset, but hey, we are doing so well blocking defense. We really need to get our out of system offense going. So if I'm Louisville, I want to put a ton of pressure on UVA to be out of system as much as I can.
Well, Booth gets the credit for the kill here, but you've got to give immense credit to Meredith Rieg for tracking that ball down and getting the assist.
Smart shot on that. It's not a lot she can do, but I think to go up and just kind of snap it to the court is a heads-up play there. It's awkward for an outside to hit that ball.
And it's an ace for Virginia as well. Scott once again.
You had mentioned earlier a little bit of maybe U of L looking a little bit out of sorts. I do think it starts with the serve and pass game, and passing has been an incredible strength of theirs all season. The ball control is absolutely phenomenal, and I would say that's a piece that feels a little disjointed right now, so finding a rhythm back in that serve and pass game.
Chicoine again, and it's blocked. Bowie. And Virginia leads by 2.
Yeah, Jeff, you and I are sitting right here. That is a massive block. I mean, Bowie's eyes are at the tape, if not above. All right, she is really getting up on the block.
How about that shot from Cabello? We've talked about it a lot this season, becoming a scoring setter more frequently, but it's most often with the left hand. That time she threw the right at it,
yeah,
and found the floor.
Offensive development, I would think. That's going to be a big piece to it as the season evolves, is getting Cabello involved in the right moments. You know, if she's at 1 or 2 kills per set, that completely changes an offense for any team to have an active setter. Doesn't have to be a lot, but enough to make your opponent's block think just a little bit longer.
Blackshear. UVA was hustling, but Blackshear with that big swing on the right side.
And I thought Cabello's body positioning on that set created the split in the block. If you were just watching her alone, it was hard to tell which way she was going to set that ball. So she created that split for Blackshear, and Blackshear certainly took advantage of it.
Cabello with 2 kills, 18 assists as she serves. And she sets it up for Chicoine here. Scott diving for Virginia. Wow. Cadence Booth. You don't know if she meant it, but she scores with a bump set.
Yeah, that's really tough. I mean, that's pretty much in any system. The one of the 2 front row attackers has to take that ball. It's very difficult to expect your 2 back row passers in a free ball transition play to come up inside the 10-foot line and take care of that ball.
Blackshear continues to be the answer for Louisville, carrying the load so far today. That's kill number 8 for her to lead the way for the Cardinals.
Yeah, and that shot, to me, she made that look so easy right there. Kind of floated up into the air, saw the space that she had to hit extremely sharp corner, or sharp cross court, excuse me, and just snapped the ball right to the court. Effortless is what it looked like.
An ace for Chicoine.
A little more pressure from the service line like that, I think, is what we'll see from Louisville. Even the play before was a broken play, that the ball was set outside, very broken off the net, and then to get an ace, so a little bit more pressure.
That one from the middle. Kate Dean hammering that one down for her second kill.
Yeah, Kate's such a solid piece to the Virginia team in general as a senior. I love her play out of the middle and her ability to score.
6'3", coming from Eastern Illinois. And there's Blackshear again. She might be on her way to a very memorable kill total based on the pace that she is setting so far. And it's Bowie able to score off the hands of Kara Cressy. And again, Louisville unable to get any kind of run together to get some separation against Virginia after winning the opening set by 14 points. This has been a much more competitive show from the visitors. Blackshear with the delicate touch. And that'll take us to a timeout on the floor. Louisville with the slightest edge in the second set, but they lead it a set to none on the day.
Ever inspired by the people and the passions of the community it calls home, the University of Louisville is committed to opening wide the doors of opportunity, pursuing knowledge and innovation to build a stronger tomorrow, and empowering a bold new generation of leaders, one every bit as ambitious as it is diverse. Together, Cardinals are helping a better world take flight, here and beyond.
Some firms do it all: divorce, criminal, real estate, and sometimes injury cases. That could cost you. Without the right focus, you may never get the attention you deserve. At John Foyne Associates, we focus 100% on personal injury law. Car accidents, truck crashes, serious injuries, that's it. So when you call us, you're not getting a lawyer juggling different types of cases. You're getting a team built to win for you.
You probably know Vistaprint for business cards because we've printed them for millions of small businesses over the past 25 years. But we also print signs, stickers, shirts, and more. If you need it, we print it. Print it all with 20% off for new customers at Vistaprint.com.
Well, here's a look at how we arrived at this juncture in the second set. 15-14 our score. Louisville leading the match 1-0. Calissa Blackshear and Peyton Peterson having terrific afternoons, the freshman and the sophomore. But Cadence Booth leading the way for Virginia. And look at that UVA hitting percentage at the bottom of the graphic there, 196. They were sub 100 after the opening set. It has been much more efficient in set 2, and that's a big reason why they are right here with the number 5 Cardinals with the opportunity to take a set off the top 5 team.
Absolutely, and 8 kills in the first set alone, and they're already at 10 kills per set. Or 10 kills in this set, excuse me. I think that's what their focus is and has been, is just getting this offense rolling a little bit more, and especially out of system. And I've seen that the last few plays. They've been able to produce out of system.
Anna Kinney, terrific effort from Virginia's Meredith Reed there. But Hannah Kinney with another ace. But to the point about the hitting percentage for Virginia, they're second from the bottom in the league in hitting percentage, and Louisville second from the top in opponent hitting percentage. So strength on weakness there. Louisville's defense against Virginia's offense, but Virginia going against those trends, at least in this second set, with that hitting percentage over 400.
Right, and as you lay out those numbers, and if I'm a coach coming in to scout, I think then it becomes extremely critical in those matches. You have to hit your serve, right? You want to put the pressure on your opponent's weakness. So to give away free points and have any sort of service error is a little bit tough. So I think hitting from here on out is going to be really important, and Louisville has done a really good job of that. I think taking advantage of it, keeping the ball on the court, hit the court, put them out of system when you can, force them to be as offensive as possible.
Out of the timeout, Louisville looks to have ticked it up a notch or two. Kara Cressy here with the kill. She's starting to get more aggressive and more into the offense.
We'll see now moving forward after that rip, because that was an absolute blast. If Cressy starts getting pumped a little bit here in these next few swings.
And perhaps Shannon Wells feeling what we were feeling, the momentum shift in this match. Louisville coming out of that timeout and going on a quick run to take a 3-point lead. She calls her first time out of the second set. And again, it's a UVA team that would be a heavy underdog in this one. So to be competitive this late into the second set, they'd be disappointed to watch it slip from their grasp here.
Absolutely, and I talked a little bit on Coach Wells' grittiness and her just competitive fire, and leadership always trickles down, and that's something you'll see the personality of teams take on that of their leadership and their head coach. So you see a little fight from UVA and coming out and trying to, stick it to U of L a little bit, find their weaknesses and pick them apart a little bit. You can see that grittiness and feel it here in the gym. Good timeout to shift that momentum, or at least level it out a little bit so you can keep yourself in the set right now, being just 10 points away for UVA. I think that's a really smart timeout. Get a plan together, bring everybody's emotions down, quiet the crowd down. That's some of it. You want them to come down a little bit so that the momentum levels itself out.
And maybe try and cool off Louisville's offense a little bit. You see the hitting percentage, .436 so far tonight. The continuance of that upward trend in hitting percentage over the last 6 matches. For a Louisville team starting to click as conference play continues on. And again, ahead of a huge weekend next weekend for the Cardinals with a couple of top 10 opponents. It's Louisville by 3. Does Virginia have an answer out of the timeout after Louisville had a good response following the previous timeout? Not yet. The whistle goes against Virginia, and it's another point to Louisville, and it's a 4-point lead.
And back to Cressy. That was my wager, so we'll see if Cabello decides to pump her a little bit. So set back to Cressy. Speaking of Louisville's offense, what I love about what Dan does and says and how he trains is that what he says they're working on, or what they're training, or what the focus is, you can visually see that on the court. It is very obvious that offense is incredibly important to them. They work on it a lot, developing that, finding the firepower, giving the mini goals that we had spoke about on Friday of let's find a few matches where we can hit over 400. You can see those things transpire on the court.
What you're seeing transpire right now is an ace from Virginia, already their 3rd. And you see what Louisville has done offensively against big-time opponents this year. The 2 losses, Texas and Kentucky, where the hitting percentage suffered a bit. Booth with the left hand. Peterson with the right out of the back row. Now Chicoine scores off the high hands of Dode.
I love that shot. Dode comes out, makes the correct blocking move, I think. She comes out, shows her body one-on-one there with Chicoine, but drops into the cross court, which is a natural shot on a one-on-one swing. But instead of hitting low, hard, fast, Chicoine just goes high off of her hands. And the way her hands were positioned on the block, shoots that ball out of bounds.
That one missed just barely, but UVA was well aware of it, watching it sail past. And a service error gives the Cavaliers the opportunity to rally back in this set.
Yeah, so I think this is a big point right here. Nailing the pass and siding out right away to put yourself at 4 points away after missing a serve is important. Important momentum, important timing, everything.
Sherman is denied by Cadence Booth. She has been the star today for UVA. And that'll force a timeout as Booth sends it back on the shot from Sherman.
A heads-up play there from the block. Cabello dropped Sherman inside a little bit on that slide purposely, brought her on an inside slide, but when you're in a two-hitter situation, the outside really only has to focus on that middle when she runs behind the setter. So bringing her inside a little bit kind of set her up right in front of the block for a tough swing, but that was really heads-up block and defense play by Virginia.
This is a Louisville program that coming into the weekend led the ACC in blocks, but they're being outblocked so far today. Virginia with 5 blocks to Louisville's 2. Doing what Louisville does best against them, the Cavaliers are. Maybe a little of what you can do, I can do better. And it's led them to a very competitive second set, still a 1-point deficit. As you see the difference between the first set and the second set, 3 blocks for Virginia in this second, none for Louisville. That is, to me, a little bit of a surprise, Molly.
Absolutely. And listening to Coach Wells and following the team leading up to this match, serving and defense are 2 of the things that she feels like are really strengths of the team. And you can see that shining out here right now. I would agree with that statement in this set. They've really been very purposeful with their serving, how they're attacking the receiving patterns of Louisville have been very purposeful, and their block, like you said, has really kind of dominated this set, outblocking 5 blocks to 2 in the match overall right now.
And the point about serving, 3-2 aces to errors for Virginia. So they've been effective with Scott, 2 of those aces. They'll make it 3 errors now. Perhaps the jinx on there for Scott and Virginia. And the point goes back to Louisville.
Yeah, such a tough miss right there. And it's a 1-point game to come out of a timeout. If you got to hit your serve, put pressure on your opponent to have to come out of a timeout and execute the play that they had set in the timeout.
And then aggressive serving from Cabello offensively. And it leads to an easy one for Hannah Sherman. And Louisville now extending the lead to 3. They're 3 points away from closing out the set, and Virginia will take its final timeout of this second set.
And there's so much about serving. It's a way more complicated skill, I think, or not just skill, but a piece into the play. It's not just about serving aces, right? You're not going to come into a match and say, hey, we need so many aces to win this match. It's about putting pressure on the opponent, about putting them out of system. You can create out of system plays, as Cabello just did there, forced UVA to overpass for an easy kill. It's about targeting certain players. It's about maybe finding spots on the court to disrupt routes. So if a middle really loves to run the slide set, you could completely eliminate her comfort zone by serving into that area where she can't run a route. So there's so many things that serving can affect a game. In top serving teams, you can almost dominate a match. I feel like momentum in matches either come or die with serve receive. When you're struggling serve receive, it's hard to get that momentum back on your side. So we'll see what Cabello does coming out of the timeout too with this serve. And I still think a really critical time, 22-19. This set is not over, so it's important to come out. You definitely want to put pressure on this team, but you must hit the serve, is my opinion, out of this timeout. You must give your team an opportunity to hit 23 and 2 opportunities to win and hit 25 for the set. You only have 2 points left.
Ennis had to wait on that one. Blackshear.
I mean, to me, that point goes to Cabello. And she executed exactly what we just talked about coming out of the timeout. UVA is severely in an out-of-system situation. They have to send a free ball over. And when you're a top 5 team in the country and you receive a free ball, the point is yours. That's the mentality, right? Free ball means free point. So great execution out of timeout by Cabello.
But then it's followed up by a missed serve. And UVA with plenty of opportunity here to climb back in it. That ball looping high in the air, nearly scraping the roof here at Ellington Federal Credit Union Arena, and it falls out of play for a Louisville point. And that brings the fans to their feet. It has been very competitive. Very impressive from Virginia to go toe-to-toe with number 5 Louisville in this set. But the Cardinals a point away from emerging with a hard-fought victory. And they would be 2/3 of the way to yet another sweep. Can Virginia do anything about it? They can for the moment. Lauren Bowie.
We've seen Chacoin mix up her serve tonight. She's been doing a jump float today instead of a jump spin. So I really like that serve. They're somewhat out of system. Just a great swing by Bowie there. She kind of gets her body around the ball and goes up and turns more of a line shot.
Louisville turns to Blackshear. Well handled there by Katie Barrier. Here's Blackshear again, and this time Blackshear gets it done off the hands. Calissa Blackshear. But this is a very important match to get ready for that rivalry for Virginia. And we're underway in the 3rd set. Do the Cavaliers have as much fight in this one as they did in the 2nd? They lead from the start as Ennis scores, although Dan Meskey begs to differ and goes to the green card, and we have our first challenge of the afternoon. The call was that swing, that shot from Ennis was touched by Louisville, and therefore a Virginia
the
point.
Ball was out.
And that the voice of Zach McWright.
You know, you talked a little bit about the rivalry coming up for Virginia and Virginia Tech. Here, we'll look at this replay first. So the call was that Blackshear touched that ball out of bounds, and Louisville is arguing that ball was not touched. I would say you're pretty confident to 100% standpoint that the ball wasn't touched. If at 1-0, you're going to use your green card.
There were some, you always look at the reactions of the players on the court to see if there's any kind of tell there, and Louisville did have some confused and maybe frustrated looks when the call went against them, and that's a great look there. It does look like it might just miss the right pinky there of Blackshear. But as ever, it's always a matter of how much evidence is there. Is it conclusive? What do you think, Molly?
Absolutely.
After review, there was no touch on the play. The ball is out. Point will go to Louisville, and they will retain their challenge.
Sorry, Molly, I set you up with a question right as the call was coming through, but that turned out to be a correct challenge from Dan
Exactly,
Meskey.
correct challenge. And I didn't see it on the I did not see the touch on the first swing, but you know, sometimes you miss those little things, and then clearly in the view that we had, there was no touch on that ball.
So Louisville ahead 1-0 in the 3rd set. Where do they turn? They go to Blackshear offensively now, and for one of the few times today, she misses.
Yeah, that's such a tough angle. The way the ball's being set, right, is kind of behind her left shoulder, and then the set has to cross her entire body to get all the way up to her right arm. So she has to pivot her hips all the way around the ball and swing. It's a really tough angle to swing from.
Blackshear now 12 for 17, but she gets it right back there. A much easier shot, and she finishes it with aplomb. Camden Trand with that aggressive serve, but well done by UVA. First to deal with the serve, but then get it up to Ennis for the kill.
Yeah, and I don't think she could hit that ball any higher. If she hit it higher, it would have gone over Blackshear out of bounds, but she just nicked the top fingers of Blackshear's hand. So I thought the block was actually pretty well set up. Just a great shot by Ernest.
An awkward pass from Peyton Peterson to Camden Schrand, able to get it to Blackshear, and Louisville gets a point out of that somehow. And for Blackshear, the true freshman, 14 kills is a new career high. Coming off of a terrific weekend last weekend, an even better one this weekend, and this freshman growing before everyone's eyes into a force as ACC play continues on. There's Cabello. And Booth, fiery out of the back row for the kill. Booth leading the way for Virginia with 6 kills. Bowie right behind her with 5, and Ennis third most with 4.
Yeah, that was a really smart shot. She did just barely clip the block for the kill there. Visually, as an attacker, when you're hitting from back row, it's different, right? Because the blockers are so much further ahead of you, and you can really broad jump into the ball, so you have a different visual than when you're up on the net of seeing the block.
Cabello just had to flick at that one again. Maybe the pass to her was a little hot, and rather than try and save it in for a teammate, she goes with that little overhand flick. How great is that?
I like that. The pass to her was definitely a little hot. I would say it was fast and low, but I like the pass was a little hot. It was just hard for her to get all the way to her release spot on the net and to get her body under and be able to set that ball.
An attack error there on the swing from Dode. But that is perhaps back to Cabello and that kill. She now has the confidence to make that kind of play, to know that she can score, because she's been given that leeway this year by Dan Meskey.
Absolutely, and I always think this is an interesting phenomenon, or not phenomenon, just what I've seen over the years. Any setter that I have brought into a program that's only run a 6-2 really isn't comfortable tipping and dumping. They haven't done it before, and so it is a learned skill. You don't naturally know how to do it, or you see things from a setter's perspective, right? My job is to watch the block. I have to make decisions. But when I come front row, it's just different from an attacking perspective and understanding when you should tip, when you can be offensive, when you can hold that block for your attackers. So I love seeing her be offensive. I think that's a part of the offense that can really grow this season, and she can cause some people some problems.
Robinson for Virginia, able to score off the block for Louisville. Jasmine Robinson.
And speaking of setting, I think Dode has done a nice job. She has Louisville's block jumping a little bit, so you can see Cressy jump to her right to make a move to the outside, but Dode sends the ball overhead for the slide set, kind of creating that split block for the attacker to see.
Chicoine, a quick reaction, an equally quick reaction from Virginia, but here's an opportunity for Louisville as Cabello sets Chicoine once again, and another whistle against Virginia.
Yeah, I love that play. So if you could see where Chicoine was on the court to cover that tip, she was almost on the Cardinal bird beak, if not a little bit further. So in order to play that ball, be able to transition all the way back out to the outside is tough. So she verbals for an inside set. Really smart heads-up play and a smart swing out of it as well.
Chicoine again. That is becoming a trademark for Louisville's number 7. That shot right there for Chloe Chicoine.
Yeah, and we have the benefit of sitting behind Cabello right now, be able to see behind her set. And when the ball leaves her hands, that set is just pinpoint on a straight line. So as an outside, when that ball comes to you on a straight line and floats up to the antenna, like she delivered that set, it just looks like a big beach ball. And Chicoine hammered it.
Came off her hand a little bit hotter than a beach ball.
A little hotter than a beach ball for sure.
Be interesting to see a volleyball match with a beach ball. A lot of floaters. 8-6 Louisville in the third. Again, Virginia much more competitive than they were in the first. But Chacoin's starting to heat up.
Yeah,
she's got the hot hand right now.
I like the hot hand for her in this match. I think, this is a defense right now that she can go up and rip as long as she's going high because she does have a big block in front of her. But I like the heat against this team.
And Blackshear back into the match. Again, having a career day. That one from the middle for Virginia from Kate Dean. And every time it feels like Louisville is building momentum to run away with it, Virginia has a timely kill, a timely point. Another point to Virginia as Ennis went up with Blackshear and is able to tool that block for the kill.
Yeah, super heads-up play. There's that transition offense that Coach Wells was talking about, refining and finding more abilities to point score in transition.
An overpass, and it's Dean to take advantage.
And you can see these last few serves right in front of us are dying just short of the serve receive passers, and it's really causing some trouble. I think it's caused them trouble the whole match, which is why things don't feel as succinct or as smooth as they normally do.
And an ace. And UVA on a 4-0 run to come from behind and take a third set lead over Louisville. They are fighting the Cavaliers on the road. Timeout Cardinals. Them the last two sets in terms of hitting percentage after Louisville was very much more efficient in the opening set. And that is a big reason why the second set and now the third set have been much more competitive. And it's Virginia on a 4-0 run to lead it 10-9 in the third, looking to start what would be a very improbable reverse sweep of number 5 Louisville. And they're going to continue that run with another ace out of the timeout.
Absolutely, and I would say the biggest change for UVA from that first set is their side-out percentages. So in the very first set, they only sided out at 25%, then 56 and 66 in sets 2 and 3. That's a big difference to be able to shift to be at that 60% side-out range. But I'll tell you, they're really putting some pressure on U of L's side-out percentages.
Cadence Booth there with back-to-back aces either side of the timeout, but then a service error to end the Virginia scoring run. But then Bowie able to score off the Louisville block. And it's a 2-point lead for the Cavaliers.
Yeah, UVA swinging extremely high right now. I'd almost love to see one time Louisville just drop their hands and let that ball go sailing up into the stands. But some really smart swings, and you have to attack this ball high.
Blackshear. Bowie scores.
I think the block just lost track of the ball there. You could see, so we could see Bowie's entire body from this angle on the inside of the block. So if the block were set up, we shouldn't have been able to see her so easily. So she was able to sneak that throw to the ground on the inside of the block.
Fifth service error from Virginia.
Yeah, I want them so badly to hit the court. That's where they've really found success in the match so far, is putting pressure on U of L's serve receive. So I think hitting the court on their serves is going to be really important. A big swing by Robinson right there.
Look at the confidence of Virginia. I mean, the celebrations, they are feeling it right now.
Yeah, and I like that swing from her. She does so well off 1 foot behind the setter. But she was way up in the air on that swing. Really fluid, smart swing to the deep corner.
Robinson 4 for 7. Louisville goes to Blackshear. That is a sensational diving dig by Reed. And then Cabello goes crashing into the bench. Can't get there, and it's another point for Virginia.
I think that's tough because unless that ball was touched, I think the swing is out of bounds on the back row attack. I'm not sure, and I'm sure Shran maybe saw a touch on it. I almost went serve receive to take a step up a little bit. That's my feel here. Just take one step up and start playing these balls that drop.
Tara Cressy, barrier behind it. And UVA continues here in the third set. Look how pumped up the Cavaliers are as they head to the timeout huddle. And Inist with the most recent kill. But look at where she went to celebrate that immediately to Barrier the libero for that earlier dig.
Absolutely, that dig. And think of the distance on the net when it's a right side hitting straight down the line to the libero digging. It's such a short distance and that ball gets on you fast. But she was able to dig that ball up, kind of angle her platform, and it went nice and high right into the middle of the court. It was a beautiful dig.
Well, the traveling Virginia fans, maybe not the biggest contingent you'll see, about a 9-hour drive from here to Charlottesville. But they've had a lot to cheer about recently in this match. Even if this were to go down as a Louisville win, I think Virginia already has lots of positives to take from their performance, lots of confidence to build on throughout the season.
Absolutely, and we talked about this a lot on Friday night, that anytime on the court is an opportunity to get better, and I think UVA is taking advantage of that right now.
While this one is 2-0, if you're watching it, it might start to raise your eyebrow as you get a look at scores around the ACC. Not much else that really stands out. Stanford taking care of business against Syracuse, as you would expect. North Carolina and Georgia Tech, even a set apiece, but two quality programs battling there. And then in that big top 20 matchup, SMU and Miami, it's the Mustangs with a 1-0 lead over the Hurricanes, who pulled off the upset of Pitt on Friday. Back to action here after the timeout with UVA by 5. Where does Louisville turn? They go to Peyton Peterson, but it's a whistle against Virginia.
It's going to be a replay. The R2 called in the net, but the player was outside the antenna, so it wasn't an illegal fault. That's
and Dan Meskey pleading his case there a little bit. Peterson misses. And it's another Virginia point. Louisville needs an answer here, or else Virginia is going to take a set off of a top 5 team once again this season.
Again, I think, hitting the court, serving and attacking just becomes so important. Force Virginia to play out of it. Out of system is what they know they want to work on, maybe something that isn't one of their strengths, but going to force them to play volleyball a little longer.
Blackshear, an error again.
Yeah, that ball was out.
Virginia a 5-0 run now. And Louisville may be pleading that was touched, but looked like there it wasn't. And we will play on without a challenge. Blackshear setting to Peterson. Booth out of the back row. Now Ennis, Chicoine the dig. Blackshear, blocked. And Ennis gets credit for it.
And that was a great dig by Chicoine. And one thought that I had in my mind as this set is unraveling is that in these types of situations, you do need your stars, your experience to make some plays for you, to build some confidence and get the momentum going back around.
Robinson. And an incredible run for Virginia continues.
Yeah, and Coach Meskey's already used both of his timeouts, so no timeouts to use right now. I'm not sure why. It looked like Louisville's side of the court kind of stopped playing. Now, Ennis did take a massive shot to the head the very first swing of the set. When she was blocking Blackshear's swing, I believe it was Blackshear that took a swing, but she took one right off the face and kept playing through it. But that sometimes can jolt you or mess with your vision a little bit. So she seemed to be just fine.
Peterson. Confidence flowing through Virginia right now. And look at the celebrations on that whistle against Louisville. Virginia 4 points away from a demonstrative victory in the third set.
Cressy in the net right there on that block. So I think the errors right now are kind of compounding themselves. We haven't really seen very many net violations this season from Louisville. Some of the things that we're seeing, we haven't seen much. So it's just like the errors are maybe compounding themselves a little bit. So that's where I was saying a little bit, you need your experience, you need your leaders on the team to, I think as a coach, it's sometimes simple as you have to make plays, right? When it's your opportunity, you must make the play. That is the feeling. There's not a lot of scripting that has to be anything different than what you've trained. You just kind of go back to basics, and then you have to make a play.
A mistake from Virginia on the Hannah Kinney serve. And it's a point to Louisville, and maybe that is what will swing momentum to the Cardinals. They've got a lot of ground to make up in this set, though. Peterson scores off the block. It was close, but it's off the block and out of play for a Louisville point. Look at Camden Strand with Chloe Chicoine not reading that one. Robinson. Kinney the dig. It's still alive for Louisville. Strand goes flying. And it is blocked. Louisville roaring back with a long way to go.
Cabello's in the net when that play was in.
But it is a whistle against Louisville, as you said, Molly. And the crowd just now realizing.
And she did. She got it. Unfortunate, because exactly what we had talked about just the play before, we really saw some big-time plays there of some players stepping up. Hannah Kinney making a beautiful dig to start that volley and just some gritty play on the court. That's what you have to kind of work yourself out of a little bit of a rut.
Cressy over the score. Louisville at one point down 20-11 in this set. You wondered if they might just try and live to fight another day in the fourth, but they are battling back.
Yeah, and at this point in the match, or at this point in the set, you have to win it from the service line. There's not enough time or not enough points in the set to trade points, right? To play, we win a point, they win a point. We win a point, they win a point, which is a way of high-level volleyball is played. You have to get after it after the serving line, or you're toast in this set. So I'm sure we'll see some really aggressive serving for the rest of the sets. Otherwise, there's not enough time to make up for points.
Louisville battling back and forcing a Virginia timeout. What a set this has been. Runs for both sides. Big runs for both sides. And Virginia on the precipice of what would be yet another landmark set win over a top 5 team, having defeated Stanford, rather taken a set off of Stanford in a 3-1 loss earlier this year. Looking to do the same here. But Louisville battling back, resilience on display from the Cardinals.
Absolutely, and watching back on that Stanford match, it's a very similar feel right now in this match. You can feel the energy, and if you could put a valuation on emotion and confidence, you can feel that from UVA right now. And all of them really working together, it seems like, on the court to kind of grind through this. I by no means think it's perfect volleyball, but you feel 6 people out there together trying to scrape and scrap whatever points they can get in this set, and it's really working in their favor. Some heads-up volleyball and some really smart plays.
Blackshear and Peterson with 10 or more kills for Louisville. Blackshear 14, Peterson 10. And Reagan Innes, after a slow start, has come roaring back to lead the way for Virginia with 10 kills herself, the only player in double figures for the Cavaliers. And it's a 6-point margin after the timeout. As Peterson takes aim from behind the service line, Robinson scores for Virginia.
Yeah, and I think, for a team that is so strong in blocking, and Friday night, 3.33 blocks per set for Louisville. Virginia hitting 409 in set 2, 406 right now in the third set has to be frustrating for a team that prides itself on their block and defense.
Good battle of the net. Here's Cressy. And Cressy gets the point for Louisville on the whistle against Virginia.
Yeah, and that's the right set for Cabello right there. I wasn't sure if she was going to set the ball. You could see Peterson puts a perfect transition ball up into the air on the net for Cabello, being a front row setter. UVA automatically sends 2 blockers out to Chacoin and leaving Cressy one-on-one for the slide.
Peterson with the left hand going down to the floor, and Chacoin scoring. Look at the effort from Chloe Chacoin. And then Peyton Peterson able to tool the block off the hand of Kate Dean. That one got past Hannah Kinney somehow for Cadence Booth.
That deep corner is just, it's a tough spot to defend, really, in a perimeter type defense. Granted, that is an open hand throw, so I think totally defendable, but it's tough when it's deep back there on the end line into that corner.
And Virginia set point here. And Louisville with a lot of work to do to deny them a third set victory. There's a start on the rejection from Sherman.
Yeah, and those are the plays that you need your veterans to make. I think that's a really smart heads-up play there by Sherman. But at this point in the match, her team needs her to do that and expects her to do that. So now you just try to chip away as many points as you can from the service line.
Peterson got to that one on the shot from Innes. It may have been on its way out. Booth blocked.
Yeah, I felt like that time the block was up and over the net super early, so UVA's sets to the outside are incredibly fast. So if you're late on the block on those types of sets, it's really easy for the attackers to be able to kind of swing and chop off hands. So they were up early, pressing over nice and early and able to stuff that ball.
I'll tell you what, Molly, no matter how this set ends, I think Dan Meskey might be learning a little bit about what his team is made of here. Taking the best shot from an underdog in Virginia at home for Louisville at L&N Federal Credit Union Arena, where they have seldom lost over the years. And they've thrown punches right back to get back in this set, albeit a 4-point deficit right now for Louisville.
Absolutely. It's so hard to come back after a Friday night match and win on a high and be able to perform again in a second set on Sunday night. You can see UVA here just really finding a lot of variety in their attacks. You see swings. The throw to the ground is one of the most difficult shots in volleyball to defend right now. There really isn't a lot of defense for it. And your hand must be on and off the ball very quick, but the trajectory of throwing, the ball is going immediately to the ground, and typically in those holes where there's no defenders. So really nice job offensively by Virginia. I think the feeling to have to prepare for a team on Friday night, for Louisville coming off of a 3-set win, you can always enjoy that. You want to celebrate your wins, but immediately it's to work. So Saturday, I'm sure, as I come in, you have your practice, you're preparing for Virginia. It's just that emotional turn on things that is a learned experience. And as a team, you have to learn who you are. How do you respond to things? How do you come out on Sunday? No matter who you're playing, it doesn't matter. I've seen that in any conference that I've been a part of. It's hard to play matches like this.
Can Virginia get it over? They can. Chance here for Louisville. Trailing big in the set, and it's Blackshear to score off the Virginia hands. And it's down to a 3-point deficit for the Cardinals. Still, though, Virginia with set point.
Super smart shot from Blackshear there. That ball was a little bit lower and inside from what we're used to seeing her attack. So instead of hitting down into the block hard, she just kind of hit with a flat hand because she was a little bit trapped with her arm swing to be able to get a full swing. So a good solid shot from her to score.
Blackshear again. It's down to 2.
Now that set to Blackshear, I love. Gives her plenty of range. See the height of the set. She has a lot of opportunity to swing in several different positions in the split of that block.
Again, awkward from Virginia. But they get it to Bowie. Cabello the dig. Here's Blackshear. And she scores again to cut it to 1.
That is a great shot. Again, there's that set coming from behind her head over in front of her to be able to hit that ball. So instead of taking a full swing on that, she just makes sure that she hits the court on that shot.
And her personal cheering section with a lot to cheer for right now. Still, Virginia can claim the set here, and they do.
You're giving your opponent too many opportunities to score, and UVA took advantage of it. 19 kills is unreal for one set.
It's a high shot from Dean in the middle there for Virginia to give Louisville the first point. That's something you alluded to earlier in the match, that they're going high on these shots very frequently. And maybe Louisville might be wise to lay off the block just a little bit.
Well, and I think it's important blocking-wise, right, sorry, I stopped with a little bit of a collision on the court. It scared me. High isn't the top priority. To me, over fast is the top priority. If you're over fast and you're high, then great. That's a tremendous block. So I think to stay disciplined and controlled and not worry about an attacker swinging high, you just take away a part of the net that you're supposed to take away, and get over fast is key. And then you let the attacker decide.
It's 3-0 Louisville to start the fourth. It's one of those questions, Molly, about momentum. Obviously, Virginia will be very confident to have taken the third set off of Louisville, but that wave that Louisville was riding to cut it down to 1 at the very end there may have carried over into this fourth a little bit.
Absolutely. I think when you're in a position, the score was 24-19. I think that's what we were at. You know, in volleyball, how it plays out and what you expect. You wouldn't expect the team at 19 to come back and win. So at that point in the match, as a coach, you're just telling your team, hey, we keep it simple. We go back to basics, and you do anything you can to pull that momentum back on your side so that you are on the upside of things to start a set. And you could see that.
Chicoine off the block. Bowie pleading her case. She wants her coach to go to the green card, and Shannon Wells has picked it up and has challenged that last point to see if it was touched or not.
Yeah, I did not see that off of Chicoine's head. I missed it if it happened. I thought it was a clean shot out of bounds, so seeing the replay will help us a little bit here.
Virginia is challenging that it hit the Louisville attacker on the way out of bounds.
Yeah, so we'll see. I didn't see that at all. Let's see if we can see from this replay shot.
Might have been off the hair, but
yeah, I'm not even. You know, what always gets me is when people talk about, oh, did you see a change of direction of the ball? I think I've yet to see any change of direction in a ball in a replay. It's really hard for me to see, but I don't see it from here. I don't know. Sometimes those things are like, you in the moment, I just didn't see it in the moment. We obviously were kind of behind on Chicoine there. We were on the other side of her. See if this angle gives us any better visual.
it just might. to see if it changes direction. Maybe there off the shoulder, but the antenna is really, really well placed from a Louisville perspective. And this is one of those situations where the truth of the matter is secondary. It's about what evidence there is to make the call and to overturn the call on the floor.
I love the shot. I mean, from a volleyball standpoint, it's just a really great swing. You can see how high this block is for Virginia. Look at Bowie up there, eyes at the tape.
It's really difficult to tell. And this may be one where the call just stands. It's neither confirmed nor denied. We'll see.
Hard.
Here comes the call.
After review, the call will stand. Virginia will lose their challenge. Louisville retains the point.
Yeah, I didn't see it live. I didn't feel it or even have that instinct of, it hit her. I didn't feel that at all, but it was just near impossible to be able to see that in the replay if it were a touch.
So Louisville ahead 4-1 now as Chicoine serves. And Bowie scores for Virginia.
Yeah, you've seen UVA attack the seam of the block a lot tonight, more so that I've seen the kill production from opponents against Louisville be able to attack the seam. So I'm not sure what that is, and maybe it is that fast offense. It is so hard to close. The pro of the fast offense, you really challenge your blockers to be able to close the block. I mean, it makes it near impossible. I think the con is then you also force your attackers to be stuck to one shot. They kind of get the ability to only hit one shot on a fast set.
Peterson up to 11 kills for Louisville, second behind Blackshear. 3 Louisville players with 10 or more, including Chicoine. For another point to Virginia. And Innist, who leads them with 11 kills, will go back to serve. Make it 12, as a matter of fact, for Reagan Innist. It was touched, and it's a Peyton Peterson kill off the fingertips of UVA. And a Kinney. Innist, who was touched by Cressy. And now killed by Cressy.
Great swing here by Cressy. The opposite of the fast offense. This is not a fast slide, but when you have the length of Cressy, I feel like that's the set that a player like that needs. Something up in the air that they can take all that length up to go get.
And that's in from Cressy. The lighter touch from Kara this time gets the job done.
Kinney has a really nice serve, and you can see has moved it around quite a bit. I would like to see her stay back on that serving line as long as possible.
And a timeout for Virginia as Louisville has taken an 8-3 lead. Will step aside as well. The Cards up 2-1. The ABCA Top 25. We were having the conversation on Friday, Molly, about this being a deeper conference than it has been in years past. But with that depth comes the potential for upset, like we saw Miami against Pitt on Friday, and like we might be seeing today with Virginia trying to reverse sweep Louisville. It is a stronger conference altogether.
Absolutely, and the stronger your teams in conference get, the stronger everyone gets, right? You get to play a higher level of team when you go out to play. You get lots of opportunities to play top 25 teams, and that's a way to build a program and get it better, is to see that higher level of competition so you know what it looks like.
Out of the timeout, Peterson. A couple of good block touches for Virginia. Peterson again. This time gets it through. And Virginia all over the place to get it over. And Louisville takes advantage with Cressy.
Yeah, good play. I still think this is a little bit, caught the tail end of it there. A little bit of a broken play. Kenny kind of does a quick touch on the ball.
Louisville moving quickly, and they get another point here on an easy one from Cressy again. And they continue to move quickly with Hannah Kinney trying to put Virginia on its heels, but Virginia answers with Cadence Booth off the block.
Yeah, and I think that was very intentional. So Kinney is ready to serve as soon as the R1 blows the whistle. She's ready to pop it over. You could see UVA side out there with that extremely fast set. It was so fast out to the outside, and just one little smack on the block out of bounds for the kill.
A missed pass from Cabello to Cressy. Not something you see very often. And the mistake awards a point to Virginia, and those two getting on the same page.
No, and that's tough for us to know. Was the call made or missed by the setter? Was it made or missed by the attacker? That's the second one tonight, a miscommunication on the offensive run.
Point goes to Virginia. Shannon Wells was reaching for the green card before the call was made, and now Dan Meskey might do the same on the other side. And he is going to challenge without the official green card picked up there.
Louisville is challenging that there was no block touch.
Oh, just missed her.
Seems relatively clear, especially after we had a pretty contentious challenge a few moments ago.
Yeah, and you can see from that first view, it goes right between Cressy's hands. I mean, that, but no touch. I don't see anything.
Here's the call.
After review, the ball was out. Point will go to Louisville, and they will retain their challenge.
So another successful challenge from Dan Meskey. He's been successful every time he's challenged the call today. 11-5 our score now as the point goes the other way. And Shannon Wells asking for an explanation. They are asking, we could hear it, Molly, can you challenge the challenge? The answer is no.
Correct, and I think they were just questioning the view. How could they get, what view did they have of that shot? But you could see the back wall camera gave us a very clear view of that call.
Quick one there from Booth, creative as well. Rather than taking the full swing, she just slapped at it, was able to score.
Yeah, I think this fast offense has taken U of L's blocking a little bit out of the situation there, out of the play. And in that play, it's almost a non-factor. The setter moves so close to Booth outside, it was almost just like a touch quick set, and she just ends the volley with the ball to the ground.
Cressy. And Virginia pleading.
Yeah, I did not see it hit the antenna. I thought she just hit it off the tape. I did not see the ball hit out of bounds there. So they were asking that Cressy slide set as she went up and swung down the line, that it clipped the antenna. But I saw it hit the net pretty good, but I didn't think it was anywhere close to the antenna.
Molly Wilson back to serve for Louisville as she's done a few times today. The transfer from Washington. Backup setter. An overpass, and there is Sherman for Louisville.
Yeah, more of this. I think this is what Louisville's going to be looking for, and I'm sure talked about in between sets 2 and 3. Put a ton of pressure with your serve on this team and take that fast offense out of their hands, right? If you're allowing them to put the setter up anywhere in the center of the court inside the 10-foot line, the speed is so fast, it's hard to defend.
Sherman. It'll come right back to Louisville. Chacoin sets Cabello right back to her. And it's Booth again.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw that, but I actually thought Chacoin's swing was going to score there because Barrier went completely out of the picture, diving off to the side of the court to make a saving play, and then came right back in to dig Chacoin's outside attack.
And then Booth a little shaken up after that one. Trying to see if she can walk through it. Maybe cramping. Booth now leading Virginia with 13 kills on 32 swings, a .250 hitting percentage with 5 errors. She's got 6 digs, 2 blocks, and 2 aces as well. A full stat line for Booth. And a big reason why Virginia has been so very competitive in this match, taking the third set and losing the second by just 4 points.
And I've seen this team from watching film too, and I didn't know if it just happened to be the matches that I chose, but you can see it here live. They find a way to smile about everything. I mean, you could see Booth kind of giggling at herself and apologizing for the cramp, and the team really seems to enjoy each other, and they find a way to stay positive in all the situations that they've been in. A small observation that I've seen out of several matches from this team.
There's a look at what Virginia has coming up. Back-to-back against Virginia Tech in the in-state rivalry. Florida State, a strong program in the ACC. Then they get a look at Miami. How high will they rise in the rankings after their victory over Pitt? Georgia Tech, a strong program as well. So the confidence that they will take from this one will play a big part.
Exactly what I was going to say. I think, you come out in a match like this and how you're playing right now, no matter how this match ends, you have to gain a lot of confidence and learn a lot about yourself. And I think what a great schedule, forward looking to what they have coming up next, that the experience in this match will no doubt prepare them for these next 5 matches that they have coming up. I think that's exciting.
Booth forced to go back to the locker room. And that is going to bring Tegan Hogan off the bench for her first action today. Sophomore from Raleigh, North Carolina. Chacoin just slams that one down.
Using a little bit of UVA's playbook against them. I like that. That's a faster set than what we've seen to Chacoin for the rest of the earlier in the match. And she just throws it straight to the ground. Again, there's really no defense for that play if executed properly.
Bowie, too much for Cabello. Ricochets off the rafters behind the court.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised at that serve. Going and attacking Hogan right there. She's played a significant amount of time in the libero jersey as well. I'm surprised U of L didn't attack Innist on the outside over there passing and put some pressure on her. I don't know if you've noticed tonight, but every single one of UVA's primary servers has the ability to serve from 2 different spots on the court. So mainly, either on the left side or the right side, nothing too tricky, but they can move anywhere from the back line and seem to be pretty comfortable and have fairly equal attempts from different spots. So it helps give different angles on the serve and what you're forcing the passing team to do.
And like you've pointed out, that's been a big part of why Virginia's had success today is their game behind the service line. Robinson up high with 2 hands for that one.
Well, that was a close one too. I thought maybe she went over the net on that one, but clearly she didn't. Zach has the best view in the house for that call, the R1.
Blackshear driving it down. Another opportunity for the Cardinals. Blackshear again. Another great dig from Rieg. Chacoin underneath that one. And Peterson will have the attack. Rieg again flying to the floor. Innist scores for Virginia. A great rally.
Yeah, that's tough. Peterson, I really like the tip in that situation, but she tips to the backcourt defensive specialist, with only a 2-hitter situation and a front row setter. So it puts the ball in the setter's hands really fast. I would put Ennis on the floor in a heartbeat. That's where my tip would be going.
Peterson misses.
I was just thinking to myself at 15-8, 14-8, I think, if I'm Coach Meskey, I'm still not completely comfortable in the match, at that score. And then, here in a heartbeat, we're at 15-11. So
I'm not sure anybody's comfortable with anything right now. It's another miss from Peyton Peterson. Louisville still hitting close to 400 on the afternoon, but that hitting percentage starting to dip lower and lower.
And there's no grandiose plan that has to happen here. Really, you just know and remember what your systems are. You go back to keeping things simple. I think a lot of times players feel like if things aren't going their way, they have to do more. There's this feeling of I have to do more. No, actually, just do your job. In these moments, that's as simple as the game can be. Just play the game the right way, do your job and what's expected of you, and usually things turn in your favor. If you're trying to do more, it's too much in your head. It's against everything you've trained for.
A wild ricochet and more wild play in this game that's seen some wild stuff. It ricochets off the antenna from Cabello, and it's another point to UVA.
Yeah, and another fast set out to the outside. I think the speed is chopping things up for Louisville, and you can see Cabello reading the tip and kind of charging in. Maybe she should hold a little longer, know the tip is coming and relax, and then play out of it.
Ennis has to bump it over. Chance for Louisville here to get something clean. But the pass was a little behind Blackshear, but she gets it done anyway. Those long arms at 6'5", making a big difference there for Calissa Blackshear, the true freshman who's having a career afternoon with 20 kills.
Yeah, and you can see that play as it developed, that U of L is just a little bit out of sorts. So Jacoin takes an easy free ball. She pulls Cabello to the 10-foot line or just inside on a ball that they're typically used to just being, boom, this beautiful rhythm up to the net. And then Blackshear gets a set that's off the net. So just a little off.
Cressy is very much on right there.
Right, and there's back to the basics for you. Just put Cressy up in the air on the net. She's going to score for you. There's no magic, nothing special that needs to be changed.
That one over the block. Another chance for Louisville as Peterson trying to go with the lighter touch there and misses once again.
I like the idea. And that time, I think she had a better vision of what was going on there. The defense was all the way backed up down the line, so had that hit the court, she definitely scores.
Cressy. th kill for Kara Cressy. That's second behind Blackshear.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple. That's what I would say for the rest of this set. 6 points.
Virginia's done a great job of making it more complicated for Louisville than maybe they would have expected. There's more like it from Peyton Peterson with the power that draws oohs and ahs from the crowd.
Yeah, and you know what I love about Cabello, and I've said this so many times, is, you know, Peterson, my guess, watching her enough and knowing her, is probably a little bit frustrated with her attacking. Okay, if I'm a good player, that's an okay feeling to have, but you have Cabello that says, oh no, you're going to score for me, and I'm just going to give you something a little different, right? So I'm going to give you a back row attack so I can let you come up and rip that.
Cadence Booth back into the match after suffering that injury earlier in this set. She's been the difference maker for Virginia, 13 kills, second behind Ennis, who is errant with that swing, and Louisville closing in on a hard-fought 4-set victory.
Now, I don't know about you, but this this set feels a lot tighter than what the score is. I can, as being a spectator, you kind of feel wow, great volleyball. On both sides, there's no way that UVA is going away right now. You feel like Louisville still has to put in some work to finish 4 points. It does not feel like it's over.
Well, in some ways, this is maybe what Dan Meske would have wanted from for his team heading into what they have next weekend. A proper test, a real challenge, which they've gotten from Virginia because they're going to be challenged again next week. SMU and Pitt, 2 top 10 opponents. We talked about Miami defeating Pitt. Where does that move the Panthers in the AVCA rankings? We will see, but they're still very likely to be a top 10 team come next week. And Louisville, there will be no sleepwalking into that weekend gauntlet after what they faced today.
Not at all. And that's such a funny, I love that, the thought process, because it is true. Okay, is that something that Coach Meske wanted for his team? Or, after a big loss, I would get asked, hey, but that's something that you probably needed, to bring, and I think it's something more as a coach that you appreciate, okay?
Okay, that's a good word for it.
I don't ever want to get my tail kicked.
That's fair.
But I do appreciate these moments because it's really, really tough in a practice scenario when your teammates better than anyone. I know what shots everyone's going to hit. I know what their tendencies are. I know what makes them uncomfortable. I know what makes them comfortable. So to create this level of kind of tension in the air that you can feel, it's really hard to do in practice. So you can certainly appreciate these matches and learn from them and build for the upcoming schedule that you just mentioned that U of L has.
You would know this better than I do, but the cliche you hear from coaches as Cressy scores off hands to move to within 3 of closing this match. The cliche you hear is it's easier to teach from difficulty than it is to teach from an easy match, to teach from success. There will be a lot that Louisville can look at on film this week from this one to grow and learn from this experience that UVA has given them.
There is no question, and I think there's a fine line, right? Like you have to learn. The best learning tool, you're right, is to learn from your mistakes, to be put in pressure situations and feel it. But I do think as a player, when you go back to review those things, you want to focus on the things that you did well. I don't want to go back. Maybe I want to watch the things I didn't like and I didn't do as well as I thought. But I don't want to harp on those. I don't want to watch that over and over. I want to go back and see the things I did well and recreate that, not attempt to try not to do something.
Louisville 2 points away with an 8-point margin as Peyton Peterson serves an error there to give it back to Virginia. Hannah Scott, who has a pair of aces and 18 assists. Back to serve. An overpass, and there's Bowie.
Yeah, there's that drop serve short. So Chacoin be in the front row outside right now. Trying to put a little bit of pressure on her at the end of this set, maybe, and continuing those short serves that drop in.
Cressy off the block. And the fans will come to their feet now, maybe a little later than they initially anticipated, as Louisville is a point away from clinching this match and closing out a victory against Virginia and extending that oh so very impressive home winning streak in this building. But they won't do it yet.
Well, that's tough, but all you do is settle in and you just side out. It's one side out. This match is U of L's, but you just settle in, side out.
And that is how it ends. On a service error from Cadence Booth. But how about what Virginia was able to do in this one today? They take a set off of a top 5 team for the second time this season, and they give Louisville everything they can handle on a